The stars looked cold and distant from the observation deck of the Nara mothership. Hana stood silently, her four-fingered hands pressed against the clear viewing panel. Behind her, the command center buzzed with urgent voices and flashing warning. Lights. Admiral Hana, the Tark fleet has broken through the outer defense ring, reported Officer J, his normally blue skin pale with worry. We've lost contact with 3 more colony worlds. Hana turned from the window, her face a mask of calm that hid her growing fear. The Nara Confederation had spent centuries building a peaceful society among the stars. Their tall, slender bodies and advanced minds were suited for art, science, and healing, not war. Show me the current blockade positions, she ordered. The holographic display in the center of the room changed to reveal their home systems, surrounded by red dots representing Tark warships. The deadly circle was nearly complete. They hunt us like animals, said Chief Diplomat's son, joining Hana at the display. His ceremonial robes looked out of place amid the military crisis. Another refugee ship was captured near the Belus system. No survivors. The Tark Empire had emerged from a distant galaxy 5 years ago. At first, the Naras welcomed them with open arms and offers of trade. The Tarks, bulky armored beings with technology matching the Naras, had seemed interested in peaceful exchange. That changed after they mapped Nara defenses and resources. Our shield technology cannot stop their new weapons, said technology. Director Jin, pointing to footage of a recent battle. On the screen, beautiful silver Nara ships crumbled under Tark firepower. We designed our ships to explore, not to kill. Hana knew the bitter truth. The Nara civilization, spread across 300 worlds, faced extinction. Their attempts at diplomacy had failed. Their defensive technology proved useless against enemies who lived for conquest. The Council has called an emergency meeting, said Sun, his voice dropping to a whisper. They're discussing the Earth option. Hana's 4 hearts seemed to skip simultaneously. Earth is under quarantine, has been for 500 years. Desperate times, Admiral. The Grand Council chamber was circular, with seats for representatives from all Nara worlds. Today, many seats stood empty. Those worlds had already fallen to the Tarks. Elder Du, the oldest living Nara at 412 years, spoke from the center platform. His voice quavered not with age but with emotion. We face the end of our civilization, he said simply. Our fleets are defeated. Our colonies fall daily. The Tark Empire offers only surrender or death, and surrender means slavery. The chamber, filled with murmurs of despair. Hana listened from her position along the wall, not entitled to speak in council matters. There is one option we have not considered, continued Elder Do. A species we placed under quarantine centuries ago. Beings, known for their unpredictability. The murmurs turned to gasps of shock. Science Director Min stood up, her voice sharp with alarm. The humans? They're barely space-capable, and their history, endless wars, environmental destruction, that's why we quarantined them. Precisely, said Elder Do. They understand war in ways we never will. Hana watched the debate rage. The Naras had discovered Earth 3 centuries ago, but chose not to make contact. Humans were deemed too violent, too chaotic for inclusion in the galactic community. Their planet was marked for observation only. We need their savagery, said Military Coordinator Quan, speaking the uncomfortable truth. We need what we have, always feared about them. The vote, when it came, was not unanimous, but with Tark ships closing in on their homeworld, enough council members chose survival over principle. After the council adjourned, Elder Du approached Hana directly. Admiral, prepare your fastest stealth vessel, he ordered. You will take Ambassador Jun to Earth. Make contact with their leaders, offer them technology, resources, whatever they ask. And if they refuse? Hana asked. Elder Du's eyes reflected the stars outside. Then the Nara Confederation dies with dignity. But if they accept? He paused. Be warned, Admiral. If humans agree to fight for us, we may save our people, but lose ourselves. Their methods will shock us. 3 days later, Hana's ship slipped. Past the Tark blockade, accelerated to maximum speed, and disappeared into the darkness between stars, carrying the last hope of a dying civilization toward a planet of warriors. Earth appeared as a small blue marble in the viewer as the Nara stealth ship decelerated from its faster-than-light journey. Admiral Hana watched the planet with a mixture of hope and dread. This world, quarantined for centuries as too dangerous for contact, now represented their last chance for survival. "Beautiful," whispered Ambassador June beside her. "Hard to believe. Such a violent species evolved in such a peaceful-looking place." The ship's sensors detected thousands of artificial satellites, space stations, and the beginnings of lunar colonies. Humans had advanced considerably since the last Nara observation mission. "They're detecting us," reported Navigator Tay. "Multiple tracking systems have locked onto our position." Hana had expected this. "Send the greeting message on all their common frequencies. Remember, we come openly." Ambassador June adjusted his translator implant. The device would convert human speech patterns directly to his brain, allowing him to understand and speak their languages. "I've studied their diplomatic protocols, but these people are unpredictable." Within minutes, they received a response, terse and suspicious. "Unidentified spacecraft. Maintain your position. Attempt no approach or we will consider it hostile. Action." "At least they didn't shoot first," Tay said with nervous humor. After several tense exchanges, the humans agreed to a meeting. Not in space, as the Nara suggested, but on their own territory, a facility called the International Space Center in a region called Switzerland. The landing craft descended through Earth's atmosphere, buffeted by winds stronger than any on the Nara homeworld. Hana, June, and 2 security officers comprised the contact team. All had taken medications to help their bodies adjust to Earth's heavier gravity. Armed human soldiers surrounded the landing site. Their weapons remained pointed at the Naras as they emerged from their craft. A human woman stepped forward from the military line. She wore a uniform with many decorations and carried herself with unmistakable authority. "I'm General Mina, United Earth Defense Force," she said, her words flowing through the translators. "Welcome to Earth, though I'm curious why you've broken your own quarantine." June blinked in surprise. "You knew about the quarantine?" General Mina's expression remained neutral. "We've recovered enough crashed Nara observation drones over the centuries to piece together that you've been watching us. Your technology has helped our advancement, actually." Inside a concrete building, the Naras faced a panel of human leaders, military officers, scientists, and government officials from various Earth regions. Cameras broadcast the historic meeting worldwide. "We need your help," June began, activating a holographic display showing the Tark invasion. "The Tark Empire has conquered half our worlds already. We are a peaceful species. We lack the capacity for warfare that humans possess." The humans watched footage of Tark warships destroying Nara civilian transports. Their faces showed disgust, anger, but also calculation. "Why come to us?" asked a human scientist named Dr. Kim. "Surely there are other advanced civilizations." "None with your particular skills," Hana replied carefully. "None with your history of overcoming stronger adversaries through creative means." A military officer named Colonel Bin leaned forward. "You mean our capacity for violence?" "Yes," June admitted simply. "We offer advanced technology in exchange. Faster-than-light travel, clean energy, medical breakthroughs. Everything. We have." The humans conferred among themselves, sometimes heatedly. Finally, General Mina addressed them again. "You're asking us to fight your war when we have our own problems on Earth." June hesitated, then pressed a small device. A new hologram appeared, a Nara child being executed by Tark soldiers. "The Tarks take no prisoners except for slave labor," he said quietly. "They consider all other species inferior. If they defeat us completely, they will eventually find Earth, and you will face them alone." The room fell silent. Then Colonel Bin spoke. "If we help you, we do it our way. No restrictions on tactics or methods." Hana felt a chill at these words. Elder Du had warned her about this very moment. when the Naras would compromise their principles for survival. "We understand," she said. 3 days later, after intense negotiations, humans agreed to assist the Nara Confederation. A task force of Earth's best military strategists and soldiers would return with the Nara ship. Their leader would be Colonel Bin, a man whose combat record made even other humans uncomfortable. As the joint crew prepared for departure, General Mina pulled Hana aside. "You should know what you're getting," she said quietly. "Bin and his people, they're effective because they don't fight by anyone's rules, not even ours." "We have no choice," Hana replied. "There's always a choice," Mina said. "You've just made yours. I hope your civilization can live with it." As Earth receded in the view screen, Hana watched the human soldiers studying Nara technology with sharp, calculating eyes. She wondered what the Tarks would make of these new enemies, and what the Naras themselves would become in the process of victory. The Nara flagship Starlight trembled as it emerged from hyperspace at the edge of their home system. "Admiral?" Hana's hearts raced when she saw what awaited them, a massive Tark battle fleet surrounding their homeworld. Even worse, the planet's protective shield was flickering, weakened from constant bombardment. "We arrived just in time," Ambassador Jun said, his voice tight with worry. Colonel Bin and his human team stood on the command deck studying the enemy formation with cold, professional interest. The 20 human soldiers looked strange among the taller, slender Naras. Their bodies were compact and muscular, built for a higher gravity world. "Your defenses will fail within 3 days," Colonel Bin observed, pointing at energy readings on the display. "And your fleet is outnumbered 6-1. Nara Fleet Commander Gill approached, her normally calm face showing signs of strain. She bowed respectfully to the humans. "We've gathered all remaining ships as you requested," she reported. "But I must express concern about your battle plan. Using medical vessels as decoys violates all galactic warfare conventions." Colonel Bin's face showed no emotion. "The Tarks expect you to protect your medical ships at all costs. We'll use that expectation against them." "But those ships contain thousands of injured civilians," protested Gill. "Who will all die anyway if we lose this war," Bin replied simply. "We're not sacrificing them. We're using them to draw Tark forces away from your homeworld, while our real attack happens elsewhere." Lieutenant Su, the human weapons specialist, stepped forward with a handheld device. "We've also found ways to repurpose your technology," she said, activating a hologram showing modified Nara equipment. "These are farming tools," said Chief Engineer Ho, studying the designs with growing alarm. "Not anymore," Su replied. "Your soil harmonizers can disrupt Tark shield frequencies if recalibrated. Your atmospheric regulators can deploy suspended particles that blind their sensors." Ambassador Jun watched in horror as the humans methodically transformed peaceful Nara technology into weapons. "This violates everything we believe about proper use of science." Colonel Bin turned to face him directly. "You asked for our help because we think differently than you. This is how humans survived when facing stronger enemies. We use everything available." Within hours, human soldiers were training Nara crews on their new tactics. The Naras learned with growing unease how to use fake distress signals, how to hide attack ships inside debris fields, how to target enemy life support systems instead of weapons. "These methods feel wrong," Commander Gill confessed to Admiral Hana as they watched the training. "Dishonorable." "I know," Hana replied softly. "But have you noticed something? The humans never suggest killing unnecessarily. Their tactics aim to disable, confuse, and divide the enemy, not slaughter them. That's supposed to comfort us? No. But it reminds me that they're not monsters. They're survivors." 3 days later, the combined human-Nara force was ready. Colonel Bin presented the final battle plan to the Nara High Command. Elder Du, who had supported contacting humans, looked physically ill as he reviewed the strategy. "You intend to lure Tark ships into the path of a solar flare?" he asked in disbelief. "That's environmental warfare, forbidden by every spacefaring species." "The flare will occur naturally," explained Lieutenant Su. "We're just making sure they're in the wrong place at the wrong time." "And these mining Explosives repurposed as space mines, placed only in uninhabited regions, Colonel Bin assured him, to herd their fleet where we want them. When the meeting ended, Ambassador Jun confronted Colonel Bin privately. Your methods violate every rule of war we've established over 2,000 years of galactic civilization. Bin's expression softened slightly. Ambassador, we humans learned something painful in our history. Rules of war work only when both sides follow them. The Tarks clearly don't. But without rules, what separates us from barbarians? Intent. Bin answered. Your people fight for survival, not conquest. That matters more than methods. As the human left, Admiral Hana approached Jun. Are we doing the right thing? She asked quietly. Jun had no answer. Tomorrow they would go to war using tactics no Nara would have ever imagined. Their civilization might survive, but at what cost to their souls? In a small town, nestled between rolling hills, there lived a teenager named Alex, who always felt different from everyone else. Rules seemed like invisible chains to her, constantly restricting her freedom and creativity. While other kids followed the same predictable paths, Alex dreamed of something more. One summer evening, as the sun painted the sky orange and pink, Alex decided she would break free from the mundane expectations that surrounded her. Her parents expected her to study hard, get perfect grades, and follow a traditional career path. But Alex had other plans brewing in her adventurous mind. At school, she was known as the quiet girl who rarely spoke up. Teachers considered her well-behaved, but inside her head, a rebellion was taking shape. She watched her classmates conform to every single rule, never questioning the system that seemed to trap them in a cycle of predictability. The first rule she chose to challenge was the strict dress code. While everyone wore identical uniforms, Alex started adding small rebellious touches, a colorful patch here, an unconventional pin there. Her subtle defiance went unnoticed at first, but soon caught the attention of both students and teachers. Her best friend Maria thought she was crazy. Why risk getting into trouble? She would ask. But Alex believed that rules were meant to be understood, challenged, and sometimes broken, not out of disrespect, but out of a genuine desire to explore life's possibilities. One day, during a particularly boring mathematics class, Alex decided to do something unexpected. Instead of solving problems from the textbook, she began sketching an elaborate plan to organize a student-led community project. The teacher, Mr. Thompson, initially frowned, but gradually became intrigued by her innovative thinking. Her community project proposal was simple yet powerful. She wanted to transform an abandoned lot near the school into a garden where students could learn about sustainable agriculture and community building. Most people said it was impossible for a teenager to manage such a complex project, but Alex was determined. She researched, created detailed presentations, and approached local businesses for support. Some laughed, others ignored her, but a few saw the passion burning in her eyes. Slowly, her dream started taking shape. The local hardware store owner donated tools. A retired gardener offered to teach students about planting. Even the town council, initially skeptical, began to show interest in her ambitious plan. Alex was breaking rules not by being destructive, but by proving that young people could create meaningful change. Her parents were worried at first. They feared her unconventional approach would harm her future prospects, but as they saw her dedication and the positive responses from the community, their perspective started to shift. They realized that their daughter wasn't just breaking rules, she was redefining them. The transformation of the abandoned lot became a symbol of what could happen when someone refused to accept limitations. Students from different grades joined her project. They learned teamwork, environmental responsibility, and the power of collective action. Not everything went smoothly. There were moments of doubt, setbacks, and criticism. Some teachers and administrators tried to discourage her, arguing that her project was too complicated for a high school student. But Alex's resilience was stronger than their doubts. By the end of the year, the once neglected lot had become a thriving community garden. Vegetables grew abundantly, butterflies danced among the flowers, and local residents began using the space for gatherings. What started as a small act of rebellion had blossomed into a significant community improvement. Alex's journey taught her that rules are not always absolute. Some exist to maintain order, while others are simply outdated traditions waiting to be challenged. She learned that breaking rules isn't about causing chaos, but about creating positive change and thinking beyond established boundaries. Her story spread beyond the small town. Local newspapers wrote about the teenage girl who transformed an abandoned space into a community treasure. Schools from neighboring towns began asking her for advice on similar projects. As the sun set on another day, Alex looked at the garden she had helped create. She smiled, knowing that her small act of rebellion had planted seeds of change far beyond what anyone had expected. Rules were meant to be understood, and sometimes beautifully broken. Your response should be written in a simple, concise style that is easy for a broad audience to understand. Use basic vocabulary and straightforward sentence structure. Avoid complex words, jargon, or overly long sentences. The goal is clear communication that gets the key points across efficiently to readers of all levels. Keep the language plain and the storytelling lean and engaging. John and his friends had fought hard against the Dark Wizard's army. The battle was long and difficult, but in the end, they won. The Dark Wizard was defeated, and his evil magic disappeared from the land. However, the victory came at a great cost. Many brave warriors had lost their lives in the fight. The kingdom suffered a lot of damage. Buildings were destroyed and crops were burned. It would take a long time to rebuild everything. John was happy that they had won, but he was also very sad. He had lost some of his closest friends in the battle. They had fought together side by side for many years. Now they were gone forever. The king rewarded John and the surviving warriors for their courage and sacrifice. They were given medals of honor and special titles. The people of the kingdom celebrated their heroes. But John knew that the real reward was the peace they had brought to the land. The threat of the Dark Wizard was gone, and people could live without fear again. Children could play outside, and families could be together. John looked out at the kingdom he had helped to save. He knew that there was still a lot of work to do. They needed to rebuild homes, replant fields, and care for the wounded. It would not be easy, but John was ready to help in any way he could. As the sun set on the battlefield, John thought about all they had been through. The journey had been long and hard, but in the end, good had triumphed over evil. And that was worth any price.